All right, enough is enough. So I wanted to talk about diet and everything today. I wanted to talk about my journey. I wanted to talk about following other people's journeys. I wanted to talk about all of that, encompassing that. It's probably just going to be a kind of a rant. Who knows? It could be entertaining. Anyway, my name is Ryan. This is High Carb Regenerator. Welcome to my channel, and let's get started. So I know I have some other film that I did on my bike. I might put that in the background. I might not. We'll see what happens. But I wanted to talk about following people's diet plans to such a T, whatever that means, that it starts impeding on who you are. And that is what I wanted to talk about in this video. I've been thinking about this. I've actually been struggling to make videos lately because I'm always trying to make videos based on, you know, what would Dorian Ryder say, or what would McDougall say, or what would Barnard say, or whatever. So I plan on just following my own, marching to the tune of my own drum, or whatever it is, marching to that tune of my own drum. Now, am I going to come off high carb, low fat? No. Have I lost over 100 and probably at this point 200 some pounds if you count all the, you know, yo-yos that I've done on high carb, low fat? Yes, I have. But I've never really followed anybody's prescription for this until now, and it has not worked. It hasn't worked. I have to admit that it has not worked at all. I've never had a period of time where it just, the weight just doesn't come off. So I'm tired of doing it. I'm not gonna be sugar bombing myself. I'm not gonna be doing all this. I don't really feel like going to bed at 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't feel like dressing up like a Power Ranger and going out on a bike for 60, 80, 100 minutes a day. I don't feel like doing this stuff. And when I have done this stuff, it works great. And then I stopped doing it. So I'm not somebody who just wants to stick with that. I actually would rather be the person who lives kind of how we used to live. You know, there was no such thing as exercise. Who did exercise back in the day? You had a life, right? If you're running a farm, or if you're living in the city, if you don't have any of this, right? And everybody's going to be like, well, I live in the suburbs now, blah, 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 blah. And I get it. I kind of do too. I mean, I can see downtown from where I live. So I don't live in like terribly like, you know, suburbs, but I do live in kind of a suburb, and I get it. There's a lot more driving. Everything's farther apart. But I just kind of want to make sure that I do a little bit of exercise. But as far as the 40, 50 mile rides like I used to do, the 20 mile rides almost every day, I mean, it's just, I don't live in that environment anymore. And anyway, the point of this video is if you're struggling with this, and you've always got somebody's, you know, voice in the back of your head, you're never going to get to where you want. And this is why I make this channel. I show different options. I show different people. I interview different people. It's all based on the same thing, but everybody got there from a different angle. And, you know, people who like to follow Dorian Ryder, great, congratulations. But it is like this cult mentality, and I'm just not a part of that. Like, my uncle actually was in a cult, and, you know, I don't understand his mentality. It's just, so I don't understand that. It's like a hive mind, you know, like, anyway, I'm not somebody who likes to follow anybody. You know, you do your thing, I'll just be over here, right? I'll just be over here. And as I'm talking, I don't know if this video is going to be about anything or everything all at once. I have no idea. But I do know that I'm just going to start following my own advice. Every time I've followed my own advice, I've gotten where I wanted to be. But when I start having people's voices, like I was talking to somebody today, actually, about magnesium. And I said to this person, whenever I've added magnesium into my diet, I have had less inflammation. And their response back was, well, I saw McDougall said something about supplements, and Chronometer says that I have enough magnesium. Okay, great. But is that reality? Like I like myself, I listened to McDougall on the vitamin D thing. I did. I'm like, I'm not going to take that. It's poison me. I'm going to die if I take vitamin D, right? But in reality, my vitamin D went down to a 6 out of whatever. And it's like almost fatal, right? I don't know if it's fatal, but it sounded really bad. A 6, right? It's supposed to be around an 75 or an 80 or like 100. It supposedly is the max, right? But it was at a 6. And my hair, I started having hair issues back here. And I started taking vitamin D. My thyroid started working better. And all of a sudden, it's not fast, but it's growing back. So there's other things, there's other things that go along with this. So if I had just always listened to McDougall about this, I would never have taken this stuff, and I would never have gotten my levels back up, even where they're at right now. So really evaluate what people say, even, especially me, especially all of us, and really see where it is. Now, are we supposed to live on high carb, low fat? 100%. I don't think there's any way of arguing. I know people argue with it, but if you look at our natural food, which I'm actually going to be talking about probably in tomorrow's video. I'm not going to do a live tomorrow. I just don't have time. If you look at natural food, it is 95% of the time going to be high carb, low fat. But as I've said in other videos, it is kind of stripped of the sugar that it used to have. Even when I think back to the fruit that I ate back in the 80s and even in 2010s, it had a lot more sugar in it than it does now. So yes, I add sugar. But so this is confusing. Now, I know it confused people in the live the other day when I said I was backing off sugar. I am definitely backing off sugar, but I'm not eliminating sugar by any means whatsoever. But I am going to change back to Florida Crystals or some kind of version of that, because that one doesn't upset my stomach. What has been happening lately is when I add sugar into things, then I upset my gut. And for me, another thing that really works well is adding greens and vegetables into my life. If I don't have that, I don't digest things well. I'm always hungry. And and I can never get hydrated. So if you're like one of these people who wants to do raw only and always are hungry, chances are you really need to add greens into your life. I don't know how some of these fruitarians do this without any greens whatsoever. And if you hear their diet sometimes, half the time they're eating like 300 calories a day. And I just don't know how you survive off that unless you're just constantly living off cortisol. It just isn't for me, right? All right, last thing that I wanted to add, I'm watching this as I edit this, and I really wanted to add this in. One of the reasons that I really think that I struggled with, like when I moved back here, I was really having a hard time adding stupid things back into my life, which is why I went from looking like this, I'll show the picture here, to what I look like now. I definitely gained weight. And I think what happened when I moved back is I was trying to only eat carbs, and it really backfired on me. I started adding in other things because I just couldn't eat enough. So I started adding in vegan muffins. Now, I do know that I was having issues with my job and the amount of pain that my foot was in, so I was trying to drown it out with the stupid foods. But anyway, I'm going to get to it in a second. One of the things that I started adding in was these vegan hummus, vegan muffins, chips, and all that kind of stuff. And had I just added in like green smoothies, I don't think that would have ever happened. I feel like everybody that I've ever talked to who has struggled on a raw vegan diet, who adds in greens, especially greens, they don't have those cravings anymore. So that is the one thing that I really want to really drill home, actually, because I know Durian Rider just really throws this stuff off, or shoves this stuff off. And I really, after adding it, and I haven't had it in a while, and if I added it back in, because I try these experiments with myself. I'll add something and then I'll take it away and try to notice if anything different. And I have really noticed a significant difference in not having the greens. So anyway, that's, the elephant in the room, so to speak. I guess I'm the elephant right now, but like the elephant in the room, so to speak, is why did I gain the weight back? If listening to myself was so great, the reason is I think I was just way too focused. And if it spiraled out of control. But anyway, that's what I wanted to add here, and I'll send you back to the other video. Take the knowledge that you have and run with it. Don't listen to one person just so much that it kind of derails your life. It's really done that to me. It's kept me up at night. It's just like I just can't do this anymore, because I don't like operating like that. Why I don't work normal jobs. I don't work normal jobs because, or I didn't really do sports that much. I did football for 1 year. Actually, I didn't even do it for the whole year. I walked. I'm like, this is so organized. I just can't. I cannot function with. I wasn't sleeping. When something is too organized or too something, I can't function in it. Anyway, I'm not saying that Durian Ryder, Barnard, McDougall, or whatever is wrong. I am saying that they have some really good information out there, and a lot of how the body functions. I feel like Durian Ryder understands it more than any of these other guys, because half the time these people like Barnard and McDougall, and when he was talking to, I forget what his name was, that runs the rice diet, they just can't figure out why a lot of people get to that last 25 pounds and they can't get rid of it. And I think it's because these people have tanked their thyroids, tanked their metabolism, tanked their hormones, and they can't do it anymore. Like I proved last year, and I was going to bed at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, not 9 o'clock at night. I was going to bed at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, but I proved last year by adding a pound of sugar a day that I more than doubled my testosterone from tests. I forget what the time frame was, but I more than doubled it just by adding sugar. This is something that you would never hear from Barnard or McDougall, but you would hear it from Durian Ryder, or when I interviewed Georgie, you would hear it from them. But you're never going to hear it from these doctors. These doctors aren't going to talk about it. The only one that you might have heard it from, but he's dead, is Kempner. Another one, Pritikin, was against sugar too, but all of these, like one of these days I got to make a video going on that highdoot.me site, because all of these studies have proven that adding sugar, and it was a pound of sugar a day from candy of all things, that these people's libido increased, their fertility increased, their life was so much better, and they lost weight. They lost weight. This is something that you're never going to hear from McDougall at all. This, I think if you got McDougall on the reel, like not trying to have mass audience watching, I think if you did a interview with him where nothing was being recorded, I'm pretty sure he would say a lot different things than he says on these videos. And I don't like that. I don't like that part of it at all. Like at all. So that's another thing that I really look into. And it's just, and another thing is they talk about the steady state cardio, which is great. It's great, right? But really, when you think about it, this is just kind of like my own journal to myself. So hopefully it helps somebody. I'm sure one person who watches is going to get something out of this. But if you really think about it, how good is steady state going to be? Another thing that McDougall talks about is people getting stuck at the 25 or whatever pounds left, or rice diet, 25 pounds or whatever left. But they have these people on the same prescription of 8 miles a day. If you go, all right, so because weightlifting is my background, if you go into the gym and you say bench 225, every other day, no change whatsoever. You don't change the rep. You do it like 5 sets of 5. Oh, it was great today. If you just do 5 sets of 5, don't change anything. Don't change cadence. Don't change rhythm. Don't change anything. Don't change decline, incline, straight, flat bar, whatever. If you don't change anything, how do you expect? Do you think that you're just going to go from 225 to benching 405? It's never going to happen. If you look at something like starting strength, what you do is you start off at a base, usually the bar, especially if somebody hasn't lifted for a while, you start off at the bar. Then the next 2 days later, you add 5 pounds. That's it. 2 days later, you had 5 pounds. And you keep doing that until you get to a point where you can't do that anymore. And that's when you hit that plateau and you just kind of work out with that. Maybe you change a little thing. Maybe you add in glute ham raises or just a little bit of extras just to, kind of hit things from a different angle, right? And you keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. But if you bring that back to the cardio life, if you just keep walking 8 miles every day, it's probably you're walking the same 8 miles every day, not even changing the terrain. If you still walk the same 8 miles every day, how are you going to get anywhere else other than where you already are? So I would rather do fun bike rides and like on a trampoline, just annihilate myself like almost every day, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. Add a little bit here, add a little bit there. If you do 10 minutes, and another thing, don't add it too quick. Why would you add it too quick either? So if you are just spent after 10 minutes, why would you do 20 minutes the next day? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? So just do 10 minutes for like a week, 2 weeks, whatever. And once you notice that it really is easy for you and you're like, that was it, then you add like 2 or 3 minutes and you just keep going like that. So I know a lot of people don't know that I started my coaching, but this is what my coaching is going to be based around, because I think there's a lot of things that could be changed. Like Durian Ryder's program works for like 20% of the people, but I want something that works for like the other 80. Like the other 80 who's not trying to be supermodel, who isn't so vanity driven, right? He is completely vanity driven. He's always talking about supermodels and tall, slender, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a shit? It's like my mother said back in the day, pick a woman who is got a good personality, because all women are like puppies. They're cute when they're young and then they grow up. And that was the only advice that I got for the whole thing from my mother. So I look more for personality, but looks are great. And it's just, you have to really have this. Another thing that Durian Ryder does that I absolutely cannot stand is he talks about these shoes, these mattresses that are strapped to your feet with like 3 inches of padding on there. Now, let's go back to the gym. Or even push-ups. Would you rather do push-ups with your hands out like this or in here like this on a mattress? Which do you think is going to be more effective? Would you rather, if somebody came up to me and said, I really, really want to get my triceps stronger, really just want to get them stronger. Biceps are strong, kind of feels like it's uneven. I just have to do this, right? First of all, my response would be, you can't work out a single individual body part. It's not possible. But my other response would be, all right, well, you can either do this. You can put your arm, which do you think would be more effective? We'll put your arm in a cast for the next 3 months, or we'll put your arms and your chest and everything through workouts. We'll do like bench press, push-ups, press downs, all the kind of stuff for your triceps. Which do you think is going to be more effective? Strapping your entire arm into a cast like you would with a shoe, or would you be more effective putting your triceps through workouts like you would when you're barefoot or in minimal shoes? So some of the stuff that he talks about, I think, is absolutely stupid as hell and makes absolutely no sense. Like, why would you do this with your feet? If you look at feet of people who live in areas where you can't afford shoes, and their feet are amazing. They have no foot doctors because they don't need damn foot doctors. Their feet articulate like they're supposed to. And then you got these idiots trying to strap you in these narrow ass shoes with 3 inches of padding underneath it and say, oh yeah, your feet are going to get stronger. On top of it, it's like, would you rather have more information or less information before making a decision, right? Do you want your feet to actually have information it needs before it lands, or do you want it just to be in this mattress pillow thing, and can't even feel the ground. And people are wondering, like, I don't know why my knees hurt, my back hurts, my ass hurts, my hips are out of place. Can't figure it out, man. So that's another thing I have a really big beef with. So anyways, oh, and real quick, while I'm talking about shoes, if you want real shoes, if you want minimal shoes, if you want shoes that actually give you information and allow your feet to actually get stronger, I have a link down below. It's called Zero Shoes. Check them out. If you want some, great. If not, whatever. I'm not attached to it, but this is the shoes that I like to use. I've tried Vivo, I think they're called, and a couple others. I didn't think the quality was as good, but try them out and see how it goes. When my coaching is just going to be completely different than his, because there's so many flaws in my mind with his thing. I mean, I'm not dressing up like a damn Power Ranger. I ride regular street clothes. I own Power Ranger gear. I got one right here. Right here we go. I've got them, but why would you? And it's more sleek. It's more aerodynamic, cuts down on inflammation, whatever, dude. I mean, I blow past so many people on my bike in regular gym clothes who look like a damn Power Ranger on their bike. On a carbon fiber bike, I'm on a steel bike, blowing past you. So I didn't want to hear it. Anyway, this is just kind of a little rant and rave. I think it's been long enough. Hopefully you liked it. If you did, comments, questions, how do you feel about this? Down below. Like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next one.